As we reach the end of October, it's time I talk about one of the scariest properties known to man. Super Mario! We all know Mario, mascot of practically the entire video game industry, one of the most successful and influential game franchises of all time. Mario even cemented the 3D platformer game, and other 3D platformers like Mario Galaxy and Mario Odyssey have been some of Nintendo's most beloved and celebrated games. But for 2D Mario, Mario's bread and butter until Mario 64, hasn't quite got that reputation. Namely, with the new Super Mario Bros. Series, with 4 games, DS, Wii, 2, and Wii U. Yeah, real creative there. And yeah, that's the problem people had. While successful, and not bad games by any means, they did cement the stereotype that the Mario games still suffer today. These 4 games released back to back, with virtually the same style, mechanics, and level design, are considered to be uninspired and boring to many people. And it made people think Mario, or at least 2D Mario, is going to keep sticking to such a generic formula. And it seemed like so, since the only other 2D game that were released after was the Mario Maker series. And while that was really fun, being able to make and upload your own courses for the world to play, here's my Mario Maker 2 ID, please play my Super Worlds, I worked really hard on them, please, please, please. It wasn't a true Mario game, so 2D Mario felt effectively dead. Until Super Mario Wonder was announced. It was pretty huge, not only for a main Mario game after so long, but it returned to the old roots and completely throws away the new Super Mario stereotype. A new aesthetic, a new gameplay approach, and a new vibe that felt so fresh and unique after so long. It felt like it was giving such a life to the world again, a life Mario fans have been craving since forever. And it looked weird. And that's great! Mario should be weird. It should be wild and imaginative, that's the fun of it. And it looked so much fun. All the new characters to play like Daisy for the first time, the crazy effects of the Wonder Flower, the new enemies and level designs, the weird random elephant power-up, it looked like a blast! It was pretty much my most anticipated game after it was announced. I was just so excited for it to finally come out. And after my pre-order got delayed, I finally got to play it. And it was wonderful. Yeah, pardon the pun. But yeah, talk about bringing life back to the franchise. It was practically 2D Mario perfected, and not just perfected, but innovated and so freaking fun and creative. It's so surprising and I was excited for every single level. I can gush so much about this game for so long, how it's so engaging, visually stunning, mechanically great, and pretty much the perfect 2D Mario game. But I should start at the beginning. So without further ado, let's go! To start off, the Mario crew gets invited to a diplomatic meeting, or vacation, or whatever reason, visit to the neighboring kingdom, the Flower Kingdom, ruled by this buggy boy, Prince Florian, no relation to Prince Haru. Well, there might be some. And we get to play as our cast and get to see them all meet up. Let's talk about the characters. Of course we got Mario and Luigi, our dream team, but we also got Princess Peach playable. Oh, I'm so happy they did it. I really like when she's playable and not just a damsel in distress. It's gotten so old by now, and she's really gotten a chance to shine lately, and I love it. And we also got Princess Daisy too in her first ever platformer, if you don't count Mario Run, which I don't. I'm so happy. She's been a fandom favorite and she finally gets her starring role in decades. I love it so much. I really hope it becomes the norm. She's so lovable. We also got the 2 Toads from the new series, and Toadette, who I'm going to appreciate more after Mario Maker 2. Plus we get Yoshi too, and a bunch of other ones kinda needlessly, but I guess it's for the 4-player mode. And Nabbit. Why is he here? Did he just not go away after the year of Luigi? Oh well. Though I should bring up a tiny bit of controversy of the Yoshis and Nabbit being easy mode characters where they can't take damage from enemies and don't use power-ups. I do find it a little disappointing that these characters are forced to be so drastically different. Maybe it should have just been a mode for all characters that can be toggled on and off, but I don't think it's too big a deal. I mean, this is a game meant for everyone, even little kids. Give them options. Plus, I don't know how these guys would really look with power-ups anyway. Also in this game, we get an entirely new voice cast, which has caused some controversy online. I mean, it's hard to replace how iconic Charles Martinet and others were in their performances. But to me at least, I didn't really notice. They did a great job still keeping the spirits of the characters. It's not like the new voice of Wario.
Hey, check it out! There's a brand new game featuring me, Wario!
Oh, that's rough. No hate to the actor and all, but oh, that's rough. But anyway, as Florian welcomes us to the kingdom, of course Bowser shows up, followed by Junior and Kamek, to come and steal the Wonder Flower and its immense power. But when Bowser uses it, he fuses with Prince Florian's castle to become a living, floating fortress. Well, that escalated quickly. This also somehow gives Bowser a crap ton of magical powers, primarily on piranha plants. I guess they are technically flowers. As it goes and turns all the native poplin houses into prisons and scourges the land. And of course, we gotta stop them. Though I'm gonna be honest, it's actually pretty awesome to see practically the entire Mario crew join together to stop Bowser. It's so satisfying, it has kind of a legacy feeling. And Florian helps too. I mean, not physically, but he's our guide and uses badges, which I'll get to later. Now it's on to our Flower Kingdom adventure. Also, heads up, from this point on I will be going into a lot of the mechanics and showing off some specific levels and later ones, so be warned of spoilers. Yes, spoilers in a Mario game. Look, this game is literally about surprises and new mechanic. Expect the unexpected is the tagline for a reason. So we start out with a basic introductory level where we learn the mechanics and gameplay. It's really not too different from the normal 2D Mario gameplay, but I don't know if it's just me or the level design, but it feels a lot more satisfying to play. The way your speed and momentum with your basic moveset and platforming just feels really great. We also get to see the elephant power-up and the Wonder Flower, with the ones shown off the most, the living and crawling pipes. Talk about an eye-catching effect. There's so much going on with the background, to the pipes leading up in rhythm, to using the snake pipe to reach tighter areas. It's a great starting level. Though I still kind of had some doubts if they would keep the innovation of the Wonder Flowers in each level. Until the next one. I could not expect what would happen next when I got that Wonder Flower and the piranha plants start to dance and sing. I just had the dumbest grin on my face all throughout. I loved it. Eventually, we get to the real overworld, where the game shows off how it really works. It takes a 3D world approach of an overworld selection of levels than a linear path like the other 2D Mario games. But I think this works a bit better with how the game is based. To progress through the world and get past gates, you need Wonder Seeds. Wonder Seeds are given to you at the end of each level and after finishing a Wonder Flower challenge. Though even then, a few Wonder Flowers extend past the flagpole to work almost as an alternative path you can take. These will even lead to another path on the overworld, which can unlock new levels, so really keep your eyes peeled for things that don't seem right in the path on the map. It's just a great detail. It really promotes a lot of exploration. Some actually aren't involved in a Wonder Challenge and are alternative exits you can go through if you have the right power-up or a keen eye. You will also get another Wonder Seed for completing it as well, so a few levels you will need to be a normal and a Wonder path. And I really like it. I think the Wonder Seeds are a great mechanic. They have the same feeling as the collectibles like the star coins in other games, but they're serving an actual purpose for progression, which really gives you the incentive to collect them all. This game is great at pushing that exploration angle that feels so non-existent in 2D Mario, and even 3D Mario sometimes. You want to find the secrets the game is nudging you towards. You want to find out where the Wonder Flower is so you can see what it's going to do to you or the level, and you want those collectibles to progress. So it's not only through the levels, you can also get Wonder Seeds through badge challenges, break time short challenges, even buying them at shops. The game is rather merciful with how many Wonder Seeds you need to progress, but I can imagine people who might struggle on a particular level, can't find or beat a Wonder Flower challenge, and just want to avoid all the bonus challenges. You've got plenty of options for how you proceed. But the game is so fun, you don't want to ignore levels, you want to play them all! Plus, each world has its own type of Wonder Seed, so you can't just hoard so many and breeze through the rest of the game, you need to play the levels of each world to progress. I also don't know how to explain it, but the overworld feels very nice as well. The way they're organized and spaced make them feel so charming and lovely, and especially with the unique environments and designs that don't make them feel generic like other worlds. It feels almost lived in, like an actual place that formed naturally with some history. You don't get them all at once, they're condensed and spaced out through different seed gates and different paths. I like 3D World fine and how it did it, but I love this a lot more. The overworld even has a few secrets you can find if you look hard enough. They are also fitted with a few of the native poplins and their houses. We usually hear about what's going on in an area as they give you a free seed. Though Prince Florian does take initiative in trying to help them and deal with their pleas for help. He might be the most active political leader in the entire Mario universe. We just hope he doesn't suddenly try to steal Peach away from Mario. Okay, enough horror references. Though, Poplins also take active roles in shops. Yep, now we have stores. While the classic coins are still in the game and serve as classic 1-up providers, we also get flower coins all throughout the levels. These serve as currency in the shops, where we can get a few things. One single Wonder Flower from each shop for 100 coins, a classic supply of 1-ups if you need them, a few unique badges, and standees. Now, I'll get the badges later, but standees are mostly used in multiplayer, where it can act as a checkpoint in the level in case someone gets defeated and come in all sorts of poses. These poses are depicted as specific abilities, power-ups, and wonder effects of each of the characters. But it also functions almost like a gallery of your abilities, and is presented in a gacha-like way. And I gotta say, I freaking love it! This kind of collectibles for currency thing is something I have a complete weakness to in games, and I couldn't resist to spend so much of my bonus coins on them. Even if I didn't use multiplayer much, I did enjoy them. As much as I like the Poplins and their cute designs, they do suffer a bit from the Toad problems of pretty much being designed exactly the same. Which wouldn't be so bad if many didn't have specific themes or jobs that they don't match at all, but it's just a minor gripe. But to get back to the more flashy stuff, let's get into the 3 power-ups. This game gave the universe 3 new power-ups that were shown off and marketed heavily throughout its release, and they deserve to be talked about. Starting with the most iconic, I guess? Elephant. Yes, elephant is a really weird one to go for, but I think it's really justified. The elephant form is focused around your large size, which was the intention according to the developers. You have a larger hitbox and use your powerful trunk to attack in front of you and hold in spray water with your trunk, which can stun enemies, water plants, and put out fires. Now, people feel the elephant forms are uncanny, especially with the princesses, and say it should have been animal suits like in previous games. But I really don't think that could work. It would be kind of hard to sell the true size of the elephant form if it was just Mario in a big suit, and especially with how the trunk works. It'd be like moving a fake trunk and filling it with water. It just wouldn't work and look right. I think it's for the best, and honestly you get used to it over time. I think without it, the game would lose that weird charm it has. Though I just saw so much hate for it when it was revealed with the princesses, saying it's too weird and ugly. Like, look. If you want the princesses to be in the game, they have to be treated just as equally as anyone else. If the game wants to get weird, then they should get weird too. They should be allowed to do weird and out there stuff. They should be more than just dainty, untouchable princesses. They should be actual fun characters. If you can't like them as an elephant, then maybe you don't deserve them at all. I like how they didn't take the coward's way out and fully embraced it. It would be much weirder and worse if they didn't get treated like that. If you want a boring, bland, safe game, then the new Super Mario series is perfect for you. Stop complaining about it, your opinion is irrelevant. Irrelevant, you know what I mean. Anyway, this is pretty much the go-to power for the game since it's pretty universally useful. Next is the Bubble Flower, which gives the user a nice purple-pink look and allows them to shoot out large, slow-moving bubbles that capture enemies and can be used as an extra jump if you can reach them in time. They're a perfectly fine power-up, but to me, it's just a little too slow and short range for me to really like it or use it too effectively. But it's actually pretty useful for a medium range shield, as you can just spam it to make a slow wall that will kill anything it touches, so it's useful there. And probably for platforming, I have too much skill to actually pull off. The drill power-up is pretty unique as it allows protection above you like a helmet, and allows you to drill through certain blocks, enemies, and dig underground to completely avoid them, and even on ceilings as well. The best way to deal with enemies is to burrow under them and attack them from above, though there's no horizontal attack, so it's pretty much nearly an entirely defensive power-up. So I couldn't find much of a use for it, aside from completely breaking level designs. I love the level it appears in though, very pretty. And yeah, I need to talk about this game's aesthetics. While the new series didn't look bad, it definitely didn't have too much charm in its environments. While they kept the Mario style, many of the worlds looked repetitive, simple, and very flat and lifeless. Something about the way it's rendered and shaded just made it look flat. But Wonder completely changed up the style to make everything so gorgeous. There's so much added color and lighting to everything, where at least one color always stands out to bring in a particular vibe of a level. Everything is so dreamy and atmospherically lit. It almost gives me a Clay vibe with how the characters are designed, the colors, and how shapely it is. It really gives so much new life to this world in all its colors and details. It doesn't feel like Mario anymore, and the change of location really enforces that. We're not just in the Mushroom Kingdom anymore, we're in somewhere brand new. A brand new location with a brand new look. Everything is just so much more lively and especially expressive. The developers really want to put in the effort into new animations and expressions of everything and all the details. Characters visibly react to what's in the level and what happens to them. Even the enemies like the Goombas now have new animations when attacking and can react to things around them. It's hilarious but also really engaging. Even Bowser with his new look changes his main palette from harsh red to green and purple, and the castle environments look so new and cool with the gnarly overgrowth and the dense shadows no longer being just giant lava moats. And the backgrounds are always gorgeous. They're so detailed and vast and really sell the unique location. A lot have weird structures you can't make out, but it's always fascinating and plenty you can just get lost in. Some of these just look so beautiful, man. I can't get enough of it as an artist. 2D Mario has always used background environments, but nothing to this level. And the worlds aren't just generic forest, desert, ocean, whatevers. They love to mix and create new themes, and many will change as you go along to it. Like, we don't get a grassland starting area, we get a canyon savanna. We don't get a generic desert, we get a white hot desert mixed with a palace. We didn't even have a normal lava world, we have a lava swamp. That's so freaking cool and I absolutely love it. It breaks away from the formula so much you can't even tell it's Mario. That's not even getting to how amazing the wonder effects are, but they need their own segment later. I love the new enemies too, they feel like Mario but also so brand new. While plenty of new games introduce new enemies, this one I feel does the most. Every level is practically home to a new type of creature, and many of the level be focused around them. You'll barely find most Koopas and Goombas in plenty of levels, and I just really love some of these guys. I love the Hoppos so much, they're cute and so bouncy, but I feel really bad for making them roll away and get stuck in places. Like, are they okay? Can they get out? Is this animal abuse? Bloomps are like Hoppos, will fly up and down and left and right for a while, but they do annoy me in this level since they kept just bouncing enemies to me constantly. The Mamas are fun not only because they have a great design, but they also will literally eat other enemies, coins, power-ups, and even your projectile attacks, and I especially love them in their Wonder Flower challenge. For some reason I really like the R-Mats, mostly in their design, but they kind of work like a more aggressive Koopa is great. Hoppy Cats are spiked enemies that jump when you jump, and make some great and tricky level designs where you have to hold back your own platforming urges. Just so many enemies I hope will somehow reappear in later games. I really like how you use the enemies to your advantage in this game, which is great after you manage to pick up and use their own behaviors, and it leads to some super fun levels. This game has some super tight and creative level designs. Everything usually feels practically perfect, and the perfect blend of fun and challenge. It's great to try and figure out a new mechanic or enemy behavior that the game wants you to find out. This level is dedicated to introduce a particular environmental mechanic in a similar fashion to what Mario DS tried to do in its levels, but here it can reach its full potential. Each level feels so fundamentally different from each other gameplay wise, which is insanely impressive. It's incredible how fresh each level feels from each other visually and mechanically. It's like you'll never do the same thing twice, and that's amazing. Everything feels so memorable in this game. I can remember the level themes and even what crazy Wonder Flower effects there are, which is a thing you can barely say about the new series. I would really say the level design is pretty much perfect with how it will introduce a mechanic and advance it as it goes along. I also find that playing the levels feel like they're being forged by your own actions, which is so much more engaging. Even without a Wonder Flower, you can change up aspects of a level with these flower bulbs in any way, like revealing a coin to a hiding power-ups to actively making changes in the environment. It reminds you so much of Donkey Kong Country, where so much of the level feels like it's being paved by what you do, making a much more engaging and intuitive experience. There's also these talking flower guys. Now you may think that they're super annoying, but no, they're charming and really funny, and you're a complete coward if you turn them off, and that's just a fact. Not only is the level design so engaging, but the game even allows you to change your own user experience through the badges. Badges can be found through particular challenge levels where you can attain them if you successfully make it through the end with a bonus Wonder Seed. You can also go through sequel levels later on for much more difficult challenges with the new abilities. Plus, there's also quite a few you can purchase in shops, so you got some options. Now, these badges can do a bunch of things. Notably, it can give you a new move like a crouch high jump, or a dolphin kick for a boost in water, or giving you a higher and floating jump, or a speed boost, which are action badges. Then there are boost badges that are more so helpful gameplay changes like a wonder flower or a coin detector, starting off with a mushroom each try, or giving you a free rescue from a pit or lava, which I personally use a lot. It's a great lifesaver. And there are some expert level ones, which make the game practically impossible, like turning you invisible to enemies, and yourself as well, and constantly jumping. Wow, they really brought back the worst power-up in the franchise as a badge. But those are just for an extra challenge to particular players who want to try it. But it's really great how this game went the extra mile in helping each player make a unique experience driven by their own playstyle. If you want the speedrun, get the dash. If you want to get past tricky platforming and puzzles, use a jump boost. If you're like me and find yourself accidentally falling down pits more than you'd like, get the safety bounce. If you think the game is too easy, try the expert badges. And if you just want a normal playthrough, you don't even need one of these equipped. None of them are necessary beyond the challenges and can be accessed before and restarting a level in case you need one of their help during it. I myself switch up many badges depending on the level. They're a great help. But it's also balanced as you can only have one equipped, so you can only get one function at a time, so it's not entirely game breaking. Even this little mechanic was done excellently, and honestly better than what I thought. This game lovingly keeps all players in mind, to the new, young, casual, or experts. Though, one thing to note is that they did get rid of the score and the time limit. Now, I can understand the time limit since so much of this game is about exploration, and it wasn't really all that needed in previous levels, but I feel it should be an option to enable it for some Mario veterans, especially if they can change the amount of time too. Plus, it really would help for score and timekeeping. Just a little extra thing I think would work well. But I'm just beating around the bush here. I need to talk about the star mechanic of this game, and probably my favorite thing in Mario in general, the Wonder Flower. Every level has one. Whether obvious or hidden, touching one will trigger a massive change throughout all the level, with a unique gameplay mechanic and overhauling the level design. They can range from changing the environment entirely for new platform mechanics, changing out the enemies and enemy behaviors, or even changing the character to give them unique abilities and controls. And I think this is an absolutely incredible implementation. To start with, as I said before, the player is going to want to find the flower more than anything else. They want to get that seed from completing the challenges, and also just to experience the wacky changes, especially if they have no idea what the effect for a level is. It's exciting. It's a perfect motivation for gameplay that has an extra level of engagement while playing. Some will turn into a single room or chamber challenge, such as collecting 5 wonder tokens to get a wonder seed, kind of like the silver stars in Galaxy, or it might just be something else entirely. Though most are changes to the entire level, sometimes spanning for huge screens and even different areas, and they usually add or subvert some aspect of the level theme and design. Like you'll play through most of a level and then get a feel of how it works and the mechanics for the game to suddenly twist it in a way that you have to deal with. It's great. The visuals also always ramp up during these, usually with so much more color or contrast to make things feel like a party when it goes on, and the music is always high energy too. There's this distortion effect I really appreciate as well that's super psychedelic. I don't want to give away everything, and I do want to say, please play for yourself and experience the surprises. You never feel this level of surprise from Mario, and it's such a good feeling. I will always remember my immediate reactions how the level suddenly changed, and all the new fun gameplay it adds as well. It's truly an experience. Hey, look at that, I guess this is a Halloween video after all. I am seriously impressed by the dedication the developers had to these. They really want to make sure that each level had a mechanic that felt completely distinct from each other and have a constant wow factor when playing it. I can't imagine the time and energy it went to thinking, planning, and programming all of these that can largely only work in one level, and they mostly do. Pretty much all of them are entirely different and barely reused in between. It makes every level unique and constantly keeps up that what's gonna happen next feeling. They really want to branch out with what the Wonder Flower can do. Sometimes a giant enemy or obstacle appears you have to get past or use to your advantage. Sometimes it affects the core gameplay, making everything super slow or super fast. And sometimes they're just giant musical scenes. It's so much fun. But my favorite ones are the Wonder transformations, where every character will turn into something new with new abilities and controls. I have a feeling the Mario series has wanted to do this for a long time, with levels based around using a particular power-up, but that can't exactly work without a power-up system is in place, since the player can lose it at any time, making it impossible for every player to make it through and experience it. As a Mario Maker level creator, I know the feeling. It's like what Mario Galaxy does in certain levels by having a constantly respawning power-ups to be used again and again for particular levels as a failsafe in case the player messes up. But now the Wonder Flower can work to change how a player is able to play and control while being completely separate from the power-up system, making for concrete and straightforward levels around a particular form. And I absolutely love them! This is what I love to see, so it's great innovation and creativity. Things like turning into a giant spiked ball, blowing up into a balloon, and being transformed into a Goomba.
I'm telling you, if you're not watching the Super Mario Bros. Super Show, you're gonna turn into a Goomba!
And what makes it great is that all... Oh, come on. What makes it great is that all of these lead to some fantastic level designs and changes based on the new abilities and movesets. While the power-ups are forced to be universal, and some functionalities having to overlap with a few level aspects, these transformations can perfectly match whatever section they are placed in for dedicated levels and challenges purely around them. A lot of the time, it's just a fun rush of adrenaline, and other times it's changed to a fundamentally different game. I was always hoping to get a new one or to play another previous one every single time I got the Wonder Flower. They were always a blast! And since each character can get one, since it's not a power-up, it does invite some replayability for you to replay a level again with a different character to see how they look under the effects of the Wonder transformation. I know I did, it was a ton of fun. Oh my god, it's Big Chungus, he's real. Though, because of the whole unique effect for each level, many of these effects are only used a few times, and a few even only once. I don't get why you would go through the effort of modeling a form for every character and programming the new abilities just to use it once. It makes me really hope for a DLC thing where we can get new levels entirely based off of Wonder Forms. They're that good, and I feel there's still a ton of untapped potential. Actually, let me talk and rank all the forms in my opinion. Spoilers obviously, but I made that well aware by now. Starting at the bottom, whatever this is! Ladies and gentlemen, I present you with Soufflazy. The puppy lift form lets you become a platform, but you will shrink down and eventually die if you put too much stuff on it, which I found out the hard way. It's the one form I didn't like that much since it was just too annoying to deal with, but I do like the idea of a challenge about being a platform moving something somewhere else. It was also only used once. Next is the long form. Yeah, it's really funny and weird, which I do love, and does have some details like being able to change the environment if you crouch. Though it's mostly just playing exactly the same since everything also becomes elongated, but there's a few challenges with it I enjoyed. Also, you want to see something really funny, check out the characters when they're not silhouetted. Next is the sideways form, where you now walk on the walls. It looks really cool and leads to some cool levels, but unfortunately, you're kind of at the mercy of the enemies and level itself, since there's no way you can do anything but walk. Missed opportunity for an entire Legend of Zelda dungeon level with this. Next, it's a late game form I don't want to give away, so I'll get to that later. Then there's the Goomba form. Here you're pretty much restricted in your jumps and movements, but what makes it fun is the level design around it. Especially the first one where it makes the game effectively a stealth mission where you have to avoid the Mamas trying to hunt you down and use your restricted moveset to your advantage. There is a challenge level around it, but that's more try and play when your movement is restricted. But there's still more possibilities since the Goomba also can walk on spikes normally, so I still feel this potential and I love the levels we did get. But it does prove one thing, it's that it must suck to be a Goomba. Then there's the balloon form. Now I found this super fun and I really love the physics of this and how bouncy your character is off walls and the momentum you can get from it is really satisfying. And it does fix some of the problems with the old P-balloon forms with more control and being immune to harm to enemies where it just kind of bounce off you. Honestly, if they combine the physics of this with the speed and control of the P-balloon from Mario Maker 2, it would be perfect. The level it was in was really fun and bouncy and colorful, especially with chaining the invincibility to start to just plow through everything. It was a blast. But I have no idea why it's the only balloon level in the game. Like, how? Why on earth would you do this? I mean, this is one of the most marketed transformations. It even got standee art. Why on earth would you only use it once? It was a lot of fun. I can't believe they did that. Like, there's still so much potential. Like, what if you're in a giant pinball machine and you get bumped around with the bumpers and moving platforms? You have to make your way to the top and avoid spikes. That would be so much fun. Again, I really hope there's some DLC levels coming, please. Anyway, next is the Wubba, which does have a few uses in the game, where you turn into a slime thing, and Mario kinda looks like that guy from Dougal. With it, you can climb on any surface and seep through tiny cracks as well, and swim swiftly through goo. It kinda reminds me of the Blob transformation from Drawn to Life 2. But I love the gameplay and level design of it, especially later where it's so much more complex of jumping between surfaces and climbing up vertical walls. Though sometimes the controls can be a bit wonky.
You look tasty.
I agree with him, they look delicious. If you want to see something truly cursed, look at Toadette's form. Then we have the Spike Ball form. This is just pure fun. There's pretty much nothing else but just rolling and destroying everything you touch, but it's so enjoyable and feels like a power trip. It's so satisfying to easily break through bricks and steamroll enemies, with just a great feeling of speed and still a bit of careful platforming. I love it. It only has one other appearance through a challenge level, which is mostly just tricky platforming than being a power trip though. And finally, my favorite is the Hoppy Cat form. I didn't know what to expect when I first got it, but that rush and the speed of how fast you jump with the visuals, the jumps just feel so good and energized. It was like getting a boost through the core gameplay, and just going higher and higher with that feeling of acceleration. You're still trying to balance. I loved it. It was so good. I could not get enough of these. They're seriously some of my favorite parts of the game. I just want more of them by any means. I felt the levels we got for them weren't enough, even if I could understand mostly why they were kept sparingly. It's why I seriously hope we get some Wonder-based level DLC. Like, please, there's just so much potential. Please, I'm begging. I know the modding community is doing some stuff. Please, guys, get on it. Make some Wonder courses. It's really something that I just want so much more of this mechanic and what the game offers. And to me, the Wonder Flower and effects are the true core and draw of this game. And it doesn't feel like a coincidence. From what I've heard, the developers want to make sure everything felt new and brought in new ideas that have never been done before in the franchise. And there were like 2,000 ideas, and I feel their work paid off incredibly. To me, it's one of the best things Mario has ever added. I want them to keep that same energy to completely invigorate the levels and themes and gameplay, but I don't know how. It's just so amazing. Now, I've been praising this game so much. I mean, it's hard not to, it's that good. So what problems, if any, do I have? Well, there is a big one. I did not like the bosses. Again, spoilers, but this is a bigger deal. Skip here to the conclusion. In order to stop Bowser, we need to get these royal seats to whittle down his defenses, but they're usually guarded by bosses. So about the bosses, the thing is, there is no bosses. It's just Junior. Every time. And it's not even that good of a Junior fight. It's pretty much just DS Junior. You know, the mid-boss in between worlds, between the actual bosses. And he always has essentially the same moveset where he just goes in his shell and spins, and then maybe jumps or shoots a fireball. That's it. That's all the bosses. But okay, Junior does incorporate wonder effects into his battles, but they pretty much change nothing. It's always just some arbitrary arena change, like, ooh, it's ice now and now it's cool. Oh, now the water's floating. But the fight is always the same. Like every time. It's really easy too. The most fun it gets is the first fight where he changes your sizes, where it does become a bit of a challenge, but come on. This game is about variety and surprise. Why on earth would you make the world bosses the same fight with small changes? Where's the wonder in that? I honestly would prefer the Koopalings. At least they have different and unique attack behaviors. Like, you really couldn't have anything else? And what's even worse is, some other worlds don't even have bosses. Why? Why on earth? Why would you not give the world's bosses? What's the point? Like, I cannot wrap my head on why they would do that. Was it like a time crunch thing? Did they run out of ideas? Did they somehow think this was the best choice? I just don't understand. It's one of the things the new series did better, since DS at least introduced new bosses for every world. And yeah, sometimes Kamek will summon these fortresses, which are fun levels, and end with these things. But come on, these aren't bosses. This one was super annoying though. I can't understand how this game did everything else so absolutely perfectly and fumbled so hard on this one aspect. I mean, you added King Boo as a wonder effect and the world didn't have a boss. Like, come on, how did this happen? Like, how did this go wrong? It's the one thing I think is objectively terrible. And so it's time I talk about the final boss and some stuff after. Again, big spoilers. Please skip here if you haven't played yet. Oh, it's just a Mario and Bowser fight. Look at him and tell me this is going to be normal. Okay? Let's go. So once we get all the royal seeds, we break through Castle Bowser's defenses as he invites us to defeat him before he unleashes his wonder energy to rule the world, I guess. It's kind of vague. But hey, Bowser himself is the final world. That's pretty cool. We get some tougher levels, one of the highlights being High Voltage Gauntlet of a dark electrical system where the dodge electric currents. But here we get a new wonder form, Metal. Not much of an actual change, nice callback to Mario 64 with the music, but here you can absorb electricity like it's nothing and use it as a shield against enemy attacks while also illuminating the dark and magnetizing coins. It's not too big a transformation, but it's a fun time. I can just picture a level where like you have to carry electricity between generators or you have to maintain a current to get a platform up. There's so much potential. But after some more levels with a pretty tough but fun penultimate level, I love this shot. This game is so extra. They even had a pretty challenging musical level right at the end. What a many musical levels we got. But we finally face off in the final level, Bowser's Rage Stage. But before we can do anything, Junior and Kamek come by with Junior boasting his new wonder that will decimate you. And it turns the enemies in the traps giant. And they get Sucker Punched and taken out, which is super cathartic after my rant.
And there comes a giant fish!
But this part is amazing. The game suddenly combines so many wonder effects from the previous levels, stringing them together so perfectly that it's like a perfect send-out to our adventures and the crazy effects we remember so much. And it feels so intense with not much reaction time as the game suddenly blindsides you with random effect after random effect. I love it. Even King Boo shows up again. This really is perfect for Halloween, you see guys? The music is fantastic here too. It's so suspenseful and energized and pumps you up. You got that right, little buddy. After a callback to the first wonder effect, we finally get to confront Bowser. Now, I was really wondering how we were going to do this since Bowser himself is the entire fortress with his head in front that's probably massive. I had literally no idea how this was going to go down. And so I was greeted with Bowser's mini head? His soul? What am I looking at? Is this the real head? What's under it? Is it a hive mind or something? This is insanely confusing. Okay, I do kind of love the way they do the castle flesh, especially the pillar jaws. Oh, Bowser's gonna apparently use his wonder power to put on some massive performance? I don't quite get it. Is movie Bowser seeping in here? But this fight is quite a bit different from the usual Bowser fight as he turns into a giant hand boss. Man, this really is Donkey Kong Country. But this level is also a musical level as the floor boosts you if you jump on it on the time of the beat. A mechanic that was literally only introduced right before the fight. You use them to boost right up to Bowser's hands and his Zelda-esque boss weak point under his chin. Really the main challenge is just to be able to time your jumps right on the beat. Bowser mostly just summons these lava piranhas that aren't too hard to avoid. The only real struggle I had in this fight was the in-between phases where I had to use the boost jumps to get over the lava piranhas coming to the sides. That could be a bit tricky. The fight does elevate eventually, with the boost panels now splitting into two colors, which will boost at different times, and Bowser adding more hands and protecting his vulnerable chin. Though, honestly, it really doesn't get much harder. Bowser still only like barely attacks, he just kind of waits there. But in the final phase, his head now cracks with a beat him button on it, and you gotta reach him by boosting on platforms, destroying more hands, and then jumping on the button, which I swear has a really annoying hitbox. And so all the wonder energy leaks out of his cranium like a bottle of Coke with Mentos as Bowser loses all of his power as the Flower Castle is returned and the kingdom is saved, with everyone celebrating. Though, to be honest, I found the final boss a bit underwhelming. I mean, it's not bad, it's not like the Junior fights, and it's very different from the usual Big Bowser final fights, but I felt things built up too much to just have this random hand bopping be our final boss. Like, I don't know, maybe we slowly scale up the fortress in this intense platforming level, and then in between we have these hand Bowsers as like Bowser spawn for fights, as we slowly get higher and higher up to the top of the head, and then we take some of the wonder energy from the last Bowser, and then we get some big transformation like a drill as we dig into Fortress Bowser's head, and then explode all the wonder energy out in a climactic fight. Maybe I'm asking too much, I just felt that would be more appropriate with everything set up. Again, not a terrible final boss, I just felt it could be better. We do get a fun credits where we had the touch moving credits with the wonder effects changing the background, that was pretty fun. And that's pretty much it. There's not much for post-game aside from some new badges at just level completion. Like not a new world or level set. Not even a challenge mode or anything. That's actually really disappointing. Oh wait, while not technically a post-game thing, there is a special world you can access through special paths on each of the main worlds, each leading to a difficult level. Now some of them go back to some wonder forms like the Goomba and Spike Ball for extra challenge, others are just straightforward difficult challenges like this one I found insanely annoying, and this one made me want to punch a developer. But you also unlock the path to the center course, and after completing one more music course, we get enough wonder seeds to get to the final course, the Wonder Gauntlet. And it lives up to the name. Like the raid stage, it is a constant barrage of wonder effects all at once, with even more challenge, tricky platforming, and less time to react. I had the safety bounce badge and it saved me so many times. It's a fantastic level and super satisfying and creative, but I was lucky enough to get through it on my first try. And so with the Wonder Gauntlet completed, it goes back to the world map as I waited for my reward.
What do I win?
Nothing! Now get out!
What?
Get out!
Yeah, aside from Prince Florian congratulating you, you pretty much get nothing. Okay, future Blizz while editing, I did find out that there is one more final challenge you can access, but only if you have 100%ed every level in the game and completed other things where you get a medal and a new badge. And I do not have the time or patience to do all of that right now, so I can't really talk about it. But either way, at that point, it's more of a 100% completion bonus than anything post-game, so I am not counting that as immediate post-game content. Okay, maybe I'm hoping for too much. I don't know if this is the standard for most Special Worlds since I haven't really done them for most Mario games I own. But I don't know, I just expected something with all the build-up, like a new badge, cosmetic, award, new playable character. Okay, Rosalina might have spoiled me in 3D World, but there's just kinda nothing. And this is the closest thing this game has to post-game content, and technically, you can access a special world at any time. It's not even anything post-game. So yeah, you really have nothing to do after beating the game but just to complete all the previous levels. And it's not like I hate the old levels, I made it clear I absolutely love them. But it's just, I feel this would be something to keep the game going after. Like it doesn't even have a challenge mode or anything that brings something new after the game. I just found that really disappointing. It's honestly my only other gripe. I don't know if I'm being greedy, but it's just how I feel. So, what are my final thoughts? So, I made my gripes about the game clear. Does it bring the game down significantly? Of course not! Honestly, the reason why I was so harsh on those points was that everything else was done so amazingly well. The creativity, fun, and I'll just say it, wonder of the game cannot be understated. It made one of the best Mario experiences I've ever had. Honestly, the best 2D Mario experience I've played, with it overall only being rivaled by things like Galaxy and Odyssey. The game is filled to the brim with life and its insane visual design, level design, engaging gameplay, and pretty much everything else about it. It's just a great experience in every way. It doesn't just feel like a Mario game, it feels like so much more. It really feels like it has perfected everything in Mario. And even better, this is just the beginning. It's been said that this is the beginning of the next phase of Mario, and the developers are allowed to break through so many of the normal conventions and tropes of Mario to make much less restrictive content. And with all the new Mario games announced, this new reinvention of Mario, classic games being remade for the Switch, and even Princess Peach getting her own series, it's like we're in a new age of Mario, and I for one am so excited. I just really hope that wonder can be the norm of the series moving forward. Like, please give this game a sequel. As I said, there were over 2,000 ideas for the games. The sky is literally the limit here. Or at least give me a DLC level pack. Seriously, I need more levels. I need more of the mechanics. This is one of the most fun I've had with Mario, and I would give anything for more. The fact that a 2D Mario game makes me want more, and this much more, cannot be understated. I hope the community really latches onto it and make a ton of stuff for it, and it really seems like it's going to, and I am so happy. If this is just the start of this new Mario, then I can just say the future is looking brighter than ever. I can't wait to see what Nintendo does next with the Mario series. Incredible recommendation, like 9 out of 10 for this game. It's spectacular. Play it for yourself, and have a wonderful time. Whoa, a Wonder Flower! Man, this can do anything! What's it gonna do? What's it gonna do? What's it gonna do? I'm so excited! Oh, it just ends the video. Wowie zowie, I guess.